Well, greetings and salutations, one and all. Back again is Career Retrospectives right here on the Super Review Show Network. I am joined by my two incredible friends. Kyle, how are you doing tonight?
Doing good.
All right, Mike, how are you doing tonight?
Locked and loaded, man. Ready for the blizzard
Loaded
to
and
come
ready.
in.
There's a blizzard coming in, right, guys? Because after all, as the title of our podcast suggests, alludes to, whatever, it's no surprise by now, but Ozzy Osbourne has passed away at the age of 76 this past week. And we said, well, we did this for Taylor Hawkins when he died in 2022. So we wanted to pay tribute to the man, the myth, the legend, Ozzy Osbourne. So we said, what should we do? Should we do a discography breakdown? Should we do a Black Sabbath record? And Kyle's like, let's just do Blizzard of Oz. So here we are today talking about Blizzard of Oz, Ozzy's solo effort right after he got fired from Black Sabbath. So, first things first, I'm not the biggest Ozzy guy. I always respected the man, though, as a living legend. The dude was a pro at what he did. His last few records that we actually reviewed on here were solid. And his last performance before he died, which was truly a work of, he couldn't stand up because of his Parkinson's disease, but he did the absolutely best he could, no matter what. But I've always respected him. I just never listened to a lot of his work. I mean, solo stuff, yes, Black Sabbath here and there, but I just never listen. I respected the hell out, but I never listened to him thoroughly as an artist through his many different albums over the years, like the album with like Bark of the Moon on it and things like that. But no, I've always respected the man, though. He was a God-given talent with Black Sabbath and as a solo artist in the 80s. But yeah, that's my little background there for Ozzy Osbourne. Mike, coming from a background, you're much more of a metal guy than I am. But what's your background with Ozzy Osbourne before we go into Blizzard of Oz?
Yeah, I mean, so my dad played Black Sabbath in the car, like, early on. It was understood that he was a major, a just absolute center of like the metal kind of movement, and that the metal community as current basically really stood behind him as kind of like the face of like what metal kind of respected about the sound and the dark kind of qualities that like Black Sabbath kind of ushered in, and like the doom metal kind of stuff, as well as like just everybody really respected and admired the kind of work that he put in and the people that he always surrounded himself with. So I knew a bunch of his Black Sabbath records, and his 80s and the 90s, like as and forward, when he was doing his own solo stuff. I knew the hits. I knew the commercially kind of promoted songs. I wasn't a full album guy of Ozzy's solo work, for the most part. I just knew those songs that were most played by him. Other than that, like, yeah, he was a character. He really had a certain kind of quality to him, and he definitely made put metal on the map, and with his antics, as well as just some of his characteristics, the way his voice was and the way his performances were always something to talk about. So yeah, I appreciate what he did for metal, and the kind of work he did in general, just kind of put metal on the map.
And Kyle, I mean, I know you were the one who actually suggested that we do a discography breakdown, but I think this was much more of a little bit of a fitting tribute because this was his first solo effort. I mean, what do you got for Ozzy Osbourne?
I mean, I've been an Ozzy fan for God, my whole life, as long as I can remember. Similar to Mike, my dad was always playing Ozzy Sabbath in the car. Some of my earliest memories are, listening to those tunes. And, Ozzy's one of these rare celebrities that he really elevated past just being a musician. I mean, he was a cultural icon, a legend, down to, his show, The Osbournes, just being a cultural force that pretty much everyone loved. Even if you're not a metal fan, you knew Ozzy. Even if you are a metal fan and you might not like his music, but as a person, I'd be hard pressed to try to find one person that didn't at least respect the hell out of him. It was an absolute icon, and I'm one of those people. I've always said I've preferred Ozzy's solo stuff over Sabbath. That's not saying I don't like Sabbath, because I love Sabbath's work, specifically the Ozzy years. I mean, he was one of four guys that created a genre of music. I mean, look at the different branches of metal. You listen to so much of it, and you hear the Sabbath influence in there. You hear it all, and one of the things that I think he really gets overlooked for is almost the pop sensibilities in a way that he brought to the genre to be able to bring it to the mainstream with a lot of the melodies and catchy choruses that he wrote. Uh, Truly an iconic character. Huge loss for the music world last week.
Yeah, and that's kind of going to wrap it up for our like a little introduction as an artist and whatnot too. I mean, we last week when he died, like I said, we kind of scattered a little bit and said we got to pay tribute to the guy as well. But so in this case, we reviewed Blizzard of Oz. We're listening to it and you're reviewing Blizzard of Oz right now. Let's kick it off with Mike for a sec and going into just the overall impressions of the album. This is his debut solo, his first ever solo record, or the debut solo studio record by him as an artist after leaving our Black Sabbath. Mike, you got some favorite tracks, standout stuff. What do you got for Blizzard of Oz, buddy?
Sure. Just to kick it off with starting with that cover art, I could just hear his voice complaining about something during that cover art. I could just see him like, I can't sit down like this, Sharon. They're taking a picture of me, and I don't know is this the cross? Am I supposed to be holding? I could just hear that. So it's just amazing when the character of a man just comes out in that picture. But yeah, like off the bat, I always heard this song. My sister actually had this album, and I remember her talking about it, and I never ever like listened to the full thing. I stole her albums many times. I stole a lot of Metallica albums. I stole like Master of Puppets or Ride the Lightning, or the Black Album, whatever. And like this was one of those albums that I remember her listening to, and my sister kind of brought on a lot of his 90s and his kind of solo work, were her cup of tea versus like the Black Sabbath stuff. But coming into this, I did recognize a couple tracks. I did recognize the I don't know off the bat. Obviously Crazy Train. If you don't recognize that, you're just not from this world. But and then Goodbye to Romance. I could kind of I started to hear some of the Mr. Crowley, obviously. Is one of those songs that's very well recognized and amongst at least the fan base. As well, I believe this album was a platinum record. I believe it was certified at some point. Little known fact: the drummer of Uriah Heep is the drummer for this band, and he, before his passing, asked Ozzy to give him the certification of platinum for the album, and Ozzy did give it to him. And it's Uriah Heep's longtime drummer. I'm talking like from their most recognized albums, probably pretty much every album except a couple select albums where he had some personal things going on. So I was kind of surprised to see that. I was like, whoa, Lee Kerslake. I did not expect to see that name. Off the bat, my top outstanding tracks, obviously Crazy Train. I really like Suicide Solution. That really reminds me of like Uriah Heep 80s flair kind of feel to it, with the power chords and the like that kind of groovy opener, as well as No Bone Movies. There's that kind of groovy 80s flair to it. I would say I don't know, Crazy Train, and Suicide Solution were my top three tracks. Surprisingly enough, and I'm just not going to go into my negatives, but my negative, not my negative, but my a track that I thought I liked more, but I didn't realize I kind of just liked the lore behind it versus the actual song itself, is Mr. Crowley. It was a little repetitive, it's like I like what it's doing, but it does it for too long. I'm not going to go into my negatives, but just something that was a little bit of my first initial shock was a song that I was expecting to get a 10 out of 10. Just kind of was like, okay, this song is cool. It's got some creepiness to it, but like, man, I thought I liked this song more than I did, but I think I just liked the idea of it more than I like the actual complete beginning, middle, and end of the song. So yeah, for me, those are just my standing. Yeah, you're all right over there, JT. Everything's kosher.
Everything's good. Everything's good.
Maybe
We're
you
all
just got
good.
done running like a 5K or something. I'm not sure if.
I had an emergency call, but everything's taken care of, Mike.
Okay.
So, anyways, we're all good. We're all good.
Okay, good deal.
Yes. But I heard everything you said. It's okay. I told him I said I'm in the middle of my podcast. Like, oh my god, I'll call you back. So it's okay. No, everything's good. Kyle, take it away, bud. So it's your standout tracks or overall impressions. What do you got for Blizzard of Oz?
Yeah, I mean, standout tracks, of course, Crazy Train. I mean, it's one of the most iconic songs ever written. I mean, you tell me to think of the first song I think of when I think of like a guitar mastery. It's the riffs from this. I mean, the intro riff to Crazy Train going into the main riff of the song, that solo in there, it is quite possibly the best guitar performance out there. It goes beyond just shredding in the solo and has feel to it. It's literally the perfect guitar track in my opinion. Other than that, Mr. Crowley, me and Mike, of course, differ here. This has always been, ever since I was a kid, this has been one of my favorite Ozzy songs in general. And Goodbye to Romance, I think it's an absolutely beautiful song. Other than that, I Don't Know is great as well. It has some cool standout moments here or there, but those I would say are like the probably 4 top songs for me.
All right, let's get real. Your favorite, your only way you learn about Crazy Train is Trick Daddy's 2004 rendition of it. Let's be honest. Come on, man.
I don't even know what that is, Mike.
Oh, well, you must look that up because it is.
All right.
It is ridiculous, but it is. Ozzy actually really liked it and gave the go ahead to it. So,
yeah. All right, I'll have to check it out. But yeah, I mean, those are my standouts. I mean, the guitar playing throughout this whole album is crazy good. I mean, Randy Rhoads, not much more to say on that. But yeah, those are my 4. I'll get into other thoughts when we go into negatives, but
yeah, sure. So those are a really good standout positives to the album. And my positives have, I mean, obviously kicking off the album with I Don't Know, a track that I was not aware of until after the fact of listening to this record. And obviously the iconicness of Crazy Train. It's in movie trailers, it's in movies. It's just an iconic song. It's part of popular culture at this point. One of the most iconic songs ever, truthfully, regardless if it's heavy metal or pop, rap, whatever. It is a standout, incredible track on its own. Goodbye to Romance, great track overall. My first time hearing it, actually listening to this record, because this is the first time I listened to Ozzy's Blizzard of Oz all the way through. I knew the hit singles. I knew Mr. Crowley. I knew Crazy Train. I knew Goodbye to Romance a little bit, but this is just a really going through track by track. I was like, this is really something special, really something cool. Needless to say, I think the first side with Suicide Solution was actually a really nice touch. I like that one a lot. Also, Mr. and of course, opening up side 2 with Mr. Crowley. I mean, if you don't know Crazy Train, you don't live on Earth, and if you don't know Mr. Crowley, you might not know Ozzy Osbourne. So there's that. But yeah, no, this is but that's my standard tracks are pretty much the highlighted, because we're on Wikipedia, the highlighted tracks of Crazy Train, Goodbye to Romance, Suicide Solution, and Mr. Crowley, of course. Let's jump. I mean, that's just my positives though are just really strong overall. Those are the strongest tracks. But let's jump over to the negatives. Mike, what do you got from the negatives for this? If there's any negatives for Ozzy's Blizzard of Oz.
Yeah, I mean, I got my middle of the road tracks. Mr. Crowley's, it's kind of like the middle of the road for me, as well as, No Bone Movies, Goodbye Romance. Just another one that sometimes Ozzy's voice can do a song disservice, especially a song that repeats frequently. You guys know I do not like songs that repeat too much. Goodbye to Romance did that kind of for too long of a time. 5 minutes and 36 seconds can be a little tough to say a similar thing again and again and again, especially when your voice kind of like does a certain kind of he has a very distinct, very specific kind of sounding voice that it works, but at the same time it can be a little bit trying on the ears for like a repeated time without moving into different things, which is what I really like about I Don't Know. Like Kyle was kind of saying, alluding to in a way, was that there's some standout moments on that song where it changes up something. Another thing I'm very vocal about is, there's some songs where you write just the riff, and then you have the vocals, and then you have like the bridge and the chorus, and then you go back to the riff. And then there's like when you actually do some songwriting and do some cool little change ups and little interludes and other types of things going on. This song's got some cool little moments on it that remind me of like more classic rock. So like whereas I Don't Know has that classic rock feel, Crazy Train has that just like more like pop metal, pop I would say pop metal or pop like hard rock catchiness to it. Then you have some 80s feel, you have some dark stuff like Mr. Crowley and Revelation and this and stuff like that. And that's where I'm gonna highlight my least favorite track is Revelation, as well as Steal Away was okay. Towards the end it kind of doesn't seem to keep the momentum that how are you going to keep the momentum going with some of these tracks that are so iconic. But it kind of touches on a bunch of different areas. The 80s kind of commercial feel. It's got some dark kind of Black Sabbathy, mixed it with more the mainstream feel to it, and then some dark songs that just don't seem to fit. And I would say my least favorite track's definitely like Revelation, Steal Away. Mr. Crowley is just middle of the road for me. I would definitely not say it's a bad song. It's just it's a storytelling song, and storytelling songs usually don't worry too much about the song changing. It's more about the lyrics telling you a story. So it has an objective, and the objective is met. So I'm not going to fault it for doing what it's set out to do. So not too many downfalls here. Revelation and Steal Away kind of ended a little weak, and then Goodbye to Romance a little bit too nasally and repetitive for me, but still middle of the road. In the greater scheme of things.
Cool. Kyle, any negatives at all?
Yeah, and saying negative I think is a tough word on this, because I don't think there's anything that's bad necessarily on this album. I think every song has some positive aspects to it. There's nothing on here that I would listen to and say that's a bad song. But side one all the way through the first track of side two for me, Mr. Crowley, everything after that doesn't really hold up to what came before it, almost to the point where it feels like it could be almost like a different album. No Bone Movies is a good song, but it has a totally different vibe to the song than the rest of the album does. This one, when I was listening to it, is like, this just sounds more to me like a Led Zeppelin song with Ozzy on vocals, if I'm going to be honest about it, which again, not a bad thing, just didn't hit as hard as the other songs. And then Mike, I can't agree more. I think the last two songs kind of ended on a weak note. But this is a trend that especially like the early 80s albums had, where side one was really what carried the album for the most part a lot of times. This is back when you actually had to hook people in at the beginning of an album. So kind of to be expected. But it's still good, a bad Ozzy song, not bad, but a less great Ozzy song is still pretty damn good. So those are my only, negatives about the songs themselves. My biggest negative of this album that I'll never understand, to this day will never get, is why Crazy Train was not the intro to the album. I've always thought that I Don't Know was a relatively lackluster intro track. I love the song, don't get me wrong, I think it's a great song. I don't know if it necessarily works as the intro to the album, especially leading into Crazy Train. That's just a tiny gripe. But then, I don't know if you guys had this experience. Listening to this album, I guess I hadn't listened to this album in full in quite a while, I guess since I started using like digital streaming. Spotify has like all like the remastered versions of this record,
Yeah.
and it does not sound nearly as good as I remember. So I'm assuming the remasters are just, I haven't, looked this up online, so maybe this is a known thing. I thought the remasters, I tried 2 different remastered ones. I thought they both sounded so like tinny and not full. And I was like, this is not how I remember these songs sounding. So it could just be the versions I listened to. So I didn't hold that against the record at all because I remembered it not sounding like this. So whatever they did with those remastered ones, just did not work at all. And I hate when that happens. There's some albums that just don't need to be remastered. Don't touch them. Just leave them alone. If you want to do a re-release, just throw bonus tracks on it, which there's plenty of re-releases of this record. Just do that without the remaster and call it a day. So
I agree.
I don't know if you guys had that experience production quality wise, but it just really irked me.
Can't say that I did, but for me personally, I just I listen to it on Spotify as well because I have Spotify Premium and all that stuff. The remastered stuff wasn't that bad, I guess, but I do agree with you. It just, if for whatever reason, it just sounded the way it did, So, Mike, did you have any problems with the sound at all?
Yeah, I think I mean, there's a lot of like different versions of the album, and overall, I think it was, relatively consistent, with what I was listening to, but I didn't really listen to different versions and see if like maybe they're different. I just kind of I was listening to one on YouTube, I believe. So
Okay, it wasn't the remastered tracks; it was just the regular
I
cuts.
think it was the original, maybe.
Okay, no, I wasn't sure. So because I have Spotify, I call it Spotify, and you have YouTube, which and it's just as great as a service too. I wasn't sure what you used. That's all. So anything else for the track listing or positives, negatives? We're pretty good, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think it overall, it's definitely one of those albums that you realize that Ozzy can, on his own, be able to hold, the music and everything is just, it's solid, and it's not, there's a driving force to the man that I think a lot of people didn't realize how good it was. And definitely, he pumped out a lot of good tracks on his own that really made like live shows. It's like a staple to them. For Ozzy, I saw him in Ozfest. It was 2007, I believe.
Oh wow.
And that was a really awesome show. My only time seeing him, I remember him spraying down the front row with like foam or like bubbles. And
Okay.
these are the people that are like older who want to sit and pay good tickets or good money to get those tickets, and they have to drive home from an Ozfest, and they're just covered head to toe in like bubble foam. And I just remember a big smile on his face, and I thought to myself, man, they must hate him because like they're like probably only coming to see him, and they're not gonna have a great ride home. But yeah, like there's so many memories of different MTV moments, and just how he was part of everything, it seemed, especially in music, every award ceremony, the antics that he went through. It just like brought a character quality of like liveliness to a lot of different music and genres and other types of shows that like a lot of other frontmen couldn't dream to do. So yeah, definitely and as I say, I am a by the song fan of Ozzy. Not to say I don't like his albums in completion, but I think the way I enjoy his music the most is just a playlist of the best songs. So, and he has so many of them. So I want to put that out there as like my flag for Ozzy, is that like, the amount of work this guy really pumped out, and kept consistently, and like he surrounded himself with talented people who could like bring that vision forward with their abilities too. So just like we saw on his last album, I mean, his album was kind of along the same lines, all bringing all the different talents along with you to kind of elevate everything. So it's just it's a legacy that definitely will be missed.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of hit the nail on the head there. Kyle, what do you got for overall impression of the album and Ozzy in general?
Yeah, to build off what Mike said, just about the people he surrounded himself with, he had such a great talent, or him and Sharon as well, having a great talent for spotting talent and bringing people in. I mean, look at the guitarists that he has worked with throughout his career. I mean, obviously in Sabbath, you got Tony. In his solo career, Randy Rhoads, Jakey Lee, Zakk Wylde, Gus G on a couple of those records. I mean, the last album alone was essentially like the who's who of great guitar players, bringing in so many features. I think Clapton was on there, Jeff Beck,
Right.
a couple others, Mike McCready, what have you. And they all contributed so much to his sound at various points in his career. So, Ozzy's just this guy. He's just a larger than life being. And I cannot agree more with Mike, though, that we have the same flag here, where as much as I love Ozzy and all that, he's a singles artist for me, for the most part. Again, not to say that I don't enjoy the albums. I'll throw on an Ozzy album, I'll enjoy it front to back. But I do think the best way to listen to Ozzy is making a playlist of the best of the best. His hit singles are just that good that they just outshine the rest of the stuff, even if the other stuff is also good. I mean, absolutely outstanding career he's had, from Sabbath to solo. So, I mean, for me, with that caveat on there, do I think this is a perfect album? No, definitely not. Do I think it's one of the most iconic metal albums, if not one of the most iconic albums of all time? For sure. It cannot be understated how, after being let go from Black Sabbath, he went on to be bigger than he was. It's very rare that a vocalist has that kind of career trajectory where you're let go from your iconic band and continue to be successful. But he did it. So for me, Blizzard of Oz comes in at an 8.
Oh, yeah, and Mike, what was your rating? Sorry about that.
Oh yeah, 7 out of 10 for the album. Not to say that the album is bad, like Kyle was saying. It's just kind of it's got more like middle of the road tunes with a couple super star tracks on it. But for the most part, I'm more of a playlist guy. But I appreciate the blending of his old sound, his dark sound, his more commercially kind of driven sound, and like how he's able to unify those two things together. I think that's a great way to remind people of where you came from, but remind them that you're still relevant and able to like hold a candle to like the future at the time. That he was able to like really go to bat and like hit a home run. With the albums he was about to put out from this point forward. Lots of memorable tracks that will like everyone will live on. It'll live on forever, and people will remember them. They weren't just like forgettable. So everything had a very memorable quality to it.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. And before I just go any further about Ozzy Osbourne, and I want to get my rating too. I'm sitting about a 7 as well. The standout tracks are strong, like Crazy Train, Mr. Crowley. Well, I lost the track listing. It's all right, but just for the Crazy Train alone, it's just a fantastic record. One of the most used song in pop culture history, like in movie trailers and in not just in trailers, but in movies, like comedies in the 2000s. It was played a lot in the 2010s as well. So it's just an iconic song off an iconic record. Like, to echo both of kind of, I'm melding what both of you guys are saying into one thing, but what I say, this is the best record that's ever come out by any artist ever? No. Would I say it's a solid metal album? Yes. Would I say it's one of the most influential album covers of all time too? Yes. Would I say it's iconic? Yeah, I absolutely say so. It's just side 2 is a little bit shaky in my opinion. They're just like I said before, the bottom the second side after Mr. Crowley just kind of like it dipped a little bit in quality, but it's still a good album nonetheless. Though it's still a solid record overall. And I can agree with both of you guys. Like Ozzy is definitely a singles artist for me too. And the more I think about it, like I really can't think of one album outside of this one, like and the others we've reviewed in the past that I can go back to. But that I can think of one was the best Ozzy album. I just think that he has a lot of great singles, and you could compile them all into a solid playlist, and you'd have fun for hours and if not days and weeks and months and years since then. But yeah, no, but overall a 7 out of 10 for me for Ozzy Osbourne's Blizzard of Oz from 1980, 45 years ago this year in 2025. Anything else, guys? Anything else? Or we're going to wrap it up, right?
Go.
That's all she wrote.
K-Man's dipped. He checked out.
K-Man checked out for a second, but that's okay. We want to thank you all for watching us and having enjoyed us tonight. Thanks so much for tuning to our podcast as always. And I'm not going to say it, but the Q&A podcast is not back and will never be back.
Kyle, say nothing if the Q&A podcast is not coming back. Okay.
He said nothing. There we go.
All right,
not coming back.
Hey, there we go.
It's not coming back.
Is that a voice from the darkness?
Out of the darkness. There we go. We so there's a lot of stuff coming up for us here at the Super Review Show's Career Retrospectives. A lot of albums to review this year. We repopulated the wheel. We repopulated our discography breakdowns. We did a lot of work coming up. So for the rest of the year, we're going to be booked up beyond belief. Do we want to spin the wheel at all? We have Styx is up next, right? Because Styx is brand new album.
Yeah, Styx is up next, but I mean, we could always spin it for later. But I mean, yeah, it's up to you guys.
And we have the next 2 or 3 planned out, so
yeah, we're good. I just wanted to double check with you guys. So all right, cool. So the next 2 or 3 weeks are booked up with our next episodes of Career Retrospectives. So please look for them on all of your streaming platforms for your podcast. But for all of us here at the Super Review Show, I want to thank first. What am I doing? I want to thank the 2 gentlemen for doing this podcast. Just me always, Mike and Kyle. Your knowledge is unmatched, unparalleled, and super amazing. Thank you so much.
Sure.
And but for all of us here at the Super Review Show's Career Retrospectives, stay tuned for much more for all of us here at the Super Review Show. So stay safe, take care, and God bless.
God bless.
Woo.